In or about 2019, the Irish government made a conscious decision to open Ireland's borders to the world, primarily for two reasons. A. To force demographic change, to weaken the cultural homogeneity of Ireland, which has also resulted in a rise in crime and intense social friction. And B. To flood the country with cheap foreign labour who are now acting as competition against the working class people of Ireland for employment, housing, school places and other vital services. In relation to the latter point, the Irish government have confirmed as much in a paper that they have released on the 14th of August 2025 titled Continuity and Change, examining recent trends in the Irish labour market, with the report confirming that the key drivers behind Ireland's post-COVID-19 labour market recovery is inward migration, which the Minister for Finance Paschal Donohoe states did not happen by accident, but that it happened as a result of decisive policy choices that the government made. So if you were under any doubt that the change in the demographics of this country are an accident or as a result of incompetence, this report provides conclusive evidence otherwise. Now we'll take a brief look at the report. So the report states the following. 1. Between 2008 and 2013, the labour force contracted by almost 5% due to the recession. However, it expanded by 9% from 2013 to 2019 as economic conditions improved, noting that this rebound is said to have been fuelled by a significant shift in net migration, which transitioned from a net outflow of nearly 20,000 people in 2013 to a net inflow of 44,000 people by 2019. The report goes on to say that net migration became the primary driver in the years immediately preceding the pandemic, a trend that has continued in the post-pandemic period. 2. The scale of employment growth between 2019 and 2024 sets Ireland apart from other countries. For example, within the EU and the US, employment grew by 5% and 2% respectively, whereas in Ireland during the same period, employment grew by almost 17%, which again the report states was driven by an expansion of the labour force through net migration, noting that the report refers to this increase in inward migration as a workforce windfall. So the government are effectively saying that they won the lottery. 3. Section 3.1 states that, as a small open economy, inward migration plays an important role in the Irish economy, and that the increase in migrants coming into Ireland has helped to meet the high levels of labour demand, and that just under half of the increase in the labour force since the pandemic is accounted for by non-Irish citizens. 4. Section 3.2 titled Changing Composition of Migrants states that Ireland is recording very strong inward migration in recent years, with immigration of almost 150,000 people, or 2.8% of the total population, recorded in the 12 months to April 2024, noting that this is said to be a 17-year high and the second year of annual immigration flows in excess of 140,000 people. 5. Section 3.2 goes on to say that the recent inflow of migrants differs significantly from previous migration waves in Ireland, noting that annual immigration into Ireland was higher in 2007, when 10 new countries joined the European Union. However, the people coming to Ireland at that time were largely from the EU, with roughly 80% of non-Irish PPS numbers issued to EU arrivals in the mid-2000s. This is probably why a lot of the people who arrived around this time integrated successfully into Irish society. The report then goes on to say that more recently, less than 30% of people coming to Ireland are from the EU, noting that in 2024 alone, more than 25% of non-Irish PPS numbers were to arrivals from Asia. The report confirms that, as a result of these inflows, the numbers of non-Irish citizens living in Ireland increased by over 200,000 from 2019 to 2024 and accounted for around 15% of the Irish population at the beginning of 2024. 6. Section 3.3 states that the strong inflows of migrants have helped drive labour force growth, noting that the labour force grew by almost 70,000 on an annual basis in the fourth quarter of 2024, with around 80% of this growth arising from migration. As a result, non-Irish citizens accounted for 20% of the total labour force in 2024, compared with 16% in 2019. The report also confirms that while this trend is evident across the EU, the numbers of migrants coming to Ireland to work, meaning economic migrants, is significantly higher than across the EU. In fact, Section 3.4 specifically states that migrants on average are coming to Ireland to take up employment. This is key because this means the people coming to Ireland are economic migrants and not refugees as they claim. 7. Section 3.4 also states that migrant workers have helped alleviate skills shortages, noting that by the fourth quarter of 2024, over 560,000 non-Irish citizens were employed in Ireland, accounting for over 20% of total employment. 8. Section 3.4 also states that inward migration flows have helped to meet the high levels of labour demand, and that this is evident from the work permit data, noting that work permits increased by 27% between 2023 and 2024, and that this has helped to prevent wage growth. So, in summary, the Irish government have labelled the sharp rise in the influx of economic migrants coming into this country as a workforce windfall, essentially saying that they have won the lottery in terms of being able to grow their businesses while keeping your wages down. They have also acknowledged that the type of economic migrants coming into Ireland is like nothing we have ever seen before, where in the past 80% of migrants were coming from other European countries, whereas more recently this has reduced to 30%, with the vast majority of the other 70% coming from places like Asia and Africa. They have also confirmed that the numbers of economic migrants that entered Ireland in 2024 was a 17-year high, and that they are continuing to expand the work permit system to facilitate more economic migrants coming into Ireland from outside of the EU, noting that the work permit system increased by 27% between 2023 and 2024, and that this has helped to prevent wage growth. Just to be clear, the Irish government are not hiding any of this information, and their collective arrogance and disdain for your well-being and the future of your children is on full display.